Hey everybody, let's talk about retention. We're talking about retaining drivers and talk about retaining customers. This is the retention advantage. I'm going to give you some proven strategies to keep drivers and customers coming back. But before we get started in that, let's ask everybody a question. Obviously, in the comfort of your own, in front of your own screen, would you like more long-term drivers or long-term customers in your business? So one of those is maybe coming to the surface a little bit higher than the other, but you probably are all thinking, Jim, we want both. We want both long-term drivers and long-term customers, and I don't blame you. That is obviously the right answer. But let's ask this question. Do your customers like change or do they like consistency? Most NEMT companies, their customers love consistency. They like the same things over and over, like the same driver over and over, the same vehicle. They like consistency. Very rarely do they like change. So they like consistency. And so are long-term drivers or long-term customers more responsible for your long-term success? I want you to think about this now. Are the drivers or your customers more responsible for your long-term success? And I would pose that it is our drivers that are more responsible for the long-term success of our company because of the consistency. So if you have a high turnover, your customers don't like that. Odds are, if you've had some high turnover, which is pretty common in this industry, if you had high turnovers, odds are you have lost a customer over that because they didn't like the new driver or whatever the case might be. I want to talk to you about drivers and retaining drivers because retention is about long term. So let's get you thinking long term in all aspects of your business, in all aspects of your business. So before we get into that, let me tell you about who I am and who we are. Driverge, we have been upfitting commercial wheelchair vans since 1998, coming on 30 years, coming fast. We do both mobility, wheelchair vans, and vocational upfits. So think trade vans, electrical, contractor vans. We have 9 plants throughout the US and Canada. We've been Ford's #1 mobility builder for 24, might even be 25 years in a row. So we've built a lot of vans for Ford and for all the different manufacturers. So we've been around there and just have amazing capability and capacity. So a little bit about me. I've been with Driverge for 15 years. I'm an official CTAA Pass Master Trainer. So CTAA is the Community Transportation Association of America. PASS is their main program, Passenger Assistance, Safety, and Sensitivity. And by me being a master trainer, it means I can not only train drivers, but I could also train trainers. I'm a certified trainer also with Q-Straint and AMF Bruins. I know all the systems out there, and I've trained over 4,000 people over the last 8 years throughout the U.S. and even into Canada, in over 39 states in the U.S. So it's an honor to do what I do. But let's start talking about retention. And so what I'm going to share with you is 12 strategies you can do to retain both drivers and customers, because retaining customers and drivers is the key to your profitability. It's all about bottom line profitability. All right, so let's dive into strategy number one. That's to set realistic expectations in the interview. There's so many drivers and companies I've talked to that the driver gets into the day to day and they find out, oh my gosh, this is way more physical than I thought. This is harder than I thought. I didn't realize I drove for Uber before and now and I didn't realize how tough this was. So make sure you're not just blowing rainbows out there and saying this is going to be the best job ever. And it might be for certain people, this might be the best job they've ever had. So set those realistic expectations in the interview. Tell them how physical it's going to be. And if you have the opportunity, and I highly recommend you doing this, is to have this candidate push somebody in a wheelchair, especially if you have minivans, push them up the ramp into the van to see, wow, this is very physical. Explain to them how they're going to be getting down on their knees, how they're going to be reaching across people, how they're going to be going in and out of the vehicle multiple times during this process, and that it is very physical. Some people don't realize how physical it is. Also, tell them the traits for success, especially the traits that you want in your company that you know equals success. You need to be someone who has to be on time because we value being on time. Our customers value being on time. We also like people that are people. You like talking to people. So talk about those intangibles, those things that you're looking for that you want in your long-term drivers. That is so that people, if they're not that, they're going to kind of self-select themselves out. And you'd rather have them say, no, this isn't for me during the interview or right after the interview instead of down the road a week or two after you've already gone through all the cost of doing the drug screening and all the things you do to onboard somebody. And also talk about long term. Talk about your long term drivers, those people who have been with you for a while. Talk about them and what opportunities they have beyond just driving. Maybe you have a foreman or a supervisor role or a trainer role or something like that down the road. Talk about that in the interview. So they're thinking long term. They want to be with you for a while. So that's strategy number one is to set realistic expectations in the interview. Strategy number two is to be choosy. Find that diamond in the rough. Don't just take the rock. Don't just take the warm body. Oh, we need a driver because we have a bunch of runs and customers that need to be taken care of. No, don't do that because you're going to regret it later on. You want to hire for attitude and for intangibles. So I hire for that person who's a people person who loves doing this kind of work, who loves being around seniors, loves being around people who need their help. And then you could train for skill. You could train for those things in your company that are important. You could train for wheelchair securement, onboarding, how to interact with people, all that. But if you get the right attitude, that person is willing to do what it takes, who loves people, there that person is your diamond in the rough, and then you could train them for skill. So make sure you are choosy. Don't just take the warm body. Don't just take that person. So that's strategy number two. Strategy number three, don't be afraid to pay them more. Now, don't turn off this this presentation now. There's a lot more to come. But I know we're not trying to spend more money, but have you ever lost somebody that that went down the street to another company because they got paid 50 cents more an hour or $1 more an hour? Happens all the time. I hear this from companies all the time. So don't be afraid to pay them a little more. Maybe make your starting wage a little bit higher than you normally do. And then you can afford to be choosy. You're not going to pay just anybody this higher wage. Take the time to find the right person and pay them more. Being cheap, you can lose drivers quickly. Like I said, they can go somewhere else for a buck. Plus, what's it cost when you lose somebody? Now you've got to go through that whole hiring process again. You got to put ads out there. You got to stop and bring people in for interviews, go through that whole process, plus all those costs of onboarding someone through the training, doing the background checks, doing all that kind of stuff. Make sure you are getting people that you could retain and that you're paying them enough. And also, what's the cost of a lost customer? Again, we've talked about already. If you have change, if you're turning over drivers, you may lose a customer that you don't even know why. They just leave because they didn't like the new driver. So make sure you're paying them, you're rewarding them financially. That's strategy number three. Strategy number four, get new hires into your culture quickly. If you get them into your culture, you make them part of your family, make them feel part of a team, they're going to stick around. People quit jobs all the time, but rarely do they quit family. Rarely do they quit a team. They feel like they're part of the team. They feel like they're valued. They're going to stick around. So make them feel like part of your team. And I want you to think about this. Think about your company and think about the culture of your company, the morale, how people communicate with one another. Think about the culture. If you were looking for a job and you found a company with a culture that your company has, would you choose that company to work for if you knew that was the culture? And if you're questioning going, I don't know, maybe this wouldn't be the best place. I wouldn't be attracted here based on the culture, then change it. Change the culture. You have the opportunity to do that. Make sure that you are having a culture that people want to come to. But that's strategy number four, get new hires into your culture quickly, make them feel like a team member or a family member. Strategy number five, speaking of culture, create that culture of training. Make sure training is part of what you do every day, that people understand we have to go through training. Training isn't rushed. When you're training to bring someone on board, you take the time to make sure they're up to speed so they understand everything and that they feel comfortable with it and that you feel comfortable with them. So create that ongoing culture of training throughout the year. And then also beyond just the here's how we greet somebody, here's how we clean the vehicle, here is how we onboard somebody, how we secure somebody. On top of all that, develop your people into leaders. If they feel like they're being valued, they're not going to leave. They're going to stick around if they feel valued. So offer training beyond just the basics. Offer time management, offer leadership training, offer negotiation training, whatever you feel would be helpful to your company and also helpful to your person to grow within your company. Offer those kind of training packages, and you will see huge benefits coming from that. So that's strategy number five, create that culture of training. Strategy number six, make them feel valued. On top of the training, you want them to feel valued. So ask for their input. How are we doing as a company? What could we be doing differently? What is it like being a driver for our company? Ask them for their input. When they're doing a great job, celebrate them. Get and let everybody know, hey, Bob had a great first week on the job. He got a great review from our top customer, whatever it is. Celebrate them and then celebrate with them. So when they hit milestones and things like that, give them bonuses, take them to dinner, make them feel special and valued. Make your company one that people want to work for. Okay, create that culture and do things that are those intangibles that people go, "Wow, I've never been at a company that does this." Then you know you're doing something right, as long as it's a positive, of course. So, strategy number six, make them feel valued. Strategy number seven, improve the customer experience. So like this picture shows, maybe you have some different things in the vehicle. You have some bottles of water for your customers. You have some mints out or some candies or anything like that. Obviously, be very cognizant of you have diabetic patients and things like that that you're transporting, but do things that are appropriate for your customer that are a little above and beyond that don't cost a lot of money. How much is a bottle of water? 10 cents if you buy a case. It doesn't have to be a lot financially, but it can mean a lot to that customer. So do things a little bit different. Also get to know their likes and dislikes. What is it that they like? Do they like a certain kind of music? Do they like no music at all? Do they like talking? Do they like silence? Make it more than just a ride for them, but get to know so that they understand, wow, they like me. Okay? So next time you go pick up that customer, you already have the classical music playing and they get into the interior of the van and now they're in a great mood because there's this music that they love. And then maybe set yourself apart in ways where you're onboarding a new customer. You ask them, do you like music? If so, what kind of music do you like? And get to know all their likes and dislikes up front. So when that driver comes the very first time, you're giving them this customized experience that's going to set you above all the other companies out there. So that's strategy number seven, improve the customer experience. Strategy number eight, give details about your customers to your drivers. So it's not enough to just know this stuff and then put it in a database, but make sure you're sharing it. And that means you have to ask. And so like I said in the last strategy, ask your customers what they like, where you need to pick them up. Don't come in my driveway. Please just stay at the bottom of the driveway. There's people that don't want you coming in. Oh, because the last driver, they ran over my lawn or they knocked over my mailbox, whatever it is, but do that and then create records. You have to keep track of this stuff and then share it with the drivers. Don't make them find out on this stuff on their own. So they pull up and they're playing whatever music that they like, some pop music, some rock, and the person likes classical. That could be a huge turnoff and you could lose a customer over something as little as that. So make sure you're equipping your drivers with all this kind of detail. So that's strategy number eight. Give the details about your customers to your drivers. Strategy number nine. Let's talk about vans for a minute. Condition matters. Yes, condition matters. So new versus used. That means when someone, if you have a chance to buy a new van, great. You know what the condition's going to be like inside and out. Odds are that it's not going to break down, and it's going to be, you're able to put that out into service and it's going to stay up. But also, what is the condition of the vehicle inside? What's the condition inside? So if you have something, maybe it just came off a lease, it's a couple years old, it's still great condition inside. That might be a great financial move and a good move for your passengers and your brand as well. But what if it's not? What if it's beat up inside? What if it smells a little bit? What if it looks worn? That's a reflection of your brand. And what do customers like to go into? They like to go into a new van or one that's beat up and looks and smells like it. So think about that. So don't just buy on budget alone. Think about what best serves your brand because if someone gets into an old beat up van, that's what they're going to be thinking about for your company. And odds are they're not going to refer you based on that. If everything else is equal, you get picked up in an old beat up van. Okay, so think about that. What gives the best customer experience and what makes the drivers more excited? I have some customers that have a huge range of vehicles in their fleet from old E-Series vans from 2012, still running and still getting the job done. And then they have some vans that are 2025, 2026. And what the drivers like? They like the new vans. They don't want to get into the old vans. Those things are harder to maneuver. The equipment needs some work. It's the customers don't like it as much. So you're helping your drivers and you're helping your customers if you have newer vans that are in great condition. So that's strategy number 9. Condition matters. Strategy number 10. This one might be controversial, but if you're a commercial company, you're driving people as part of your business, just say no to side entry minivans. Drivers don't like it because it's very, very limiting. It's harder for drivers to get people in because once they get them inside, they've got to turn them so they're facing forward. So that means they're going to be shimmying, they're going to be lifting. You could actually have a driver have a back injury trying to do this. It could also be very awkward for passengers. You have any passengers that has a longer wheelchair, a scooter, power chair, or a tilt chair, or say that passenger has a leg injury and they have to have their leg elevated. The driver may not be able to turn them forward. There may not be enough rooms. Could be very awkward for the passengers and hard on the drivers as well. It's very limiting. Plus, that side ramp is the most narrow you can get and still be ADA compliant. So you're going to fit only the most narrow of wheelchairs or standard wheelchairs because it's only going to be maximum 30 inches wide, whereas a rear ramp can be up to 36, maybe even 38 inches, depending on the make of the vehicle. So uh, there's strategy number 10. Just say no to side entry minivans if going forward. Strategy number 11, make your drivers part of your sales and marketing team. And by this, I mean have them promoting your company as well. If they are happy working for your business, if they're excited about it, they should be telling others about it. So give them bonuses for bringing on new customers. If they find somebody, have them receive some sort of bonus and tell them and may have a program around it. Give them special business cards and say, hand this out if you know somebody. And so it's got their name on it. So you know that Bob sent this new customer, and then Bob is going to get a bonus on his next paycheck for bringing that new customer on. So think about that. Now all of a sudden, Bob's going to be looking for people in wheelchairs and just handing these things out, and you might have some nice new customers coming on. Also, if you don't have a Google business profile, get one. Make sure you have one because people, when they're looking for new vendors, they're looking for new resources, they're gonna go to Google and do their searching, and they're gonna whoever pops up first, that's gonna get the first look. And if you don't have any reviews or you have negative reviews, it's going to look negative on your company. So give your drivers the tools to get Google reviews. Give them a special card, maybe with a QR code that goes right to your Google page where people can leave a review and have them promote that so that you get more and more reviews. But give your drivers those tools. Don't rely on people just going and giving you a review out of the goodness of their heart because a lot of times that just won't happen. Also promote social posting. I mean, you as your company, you might be doing some social social posting about the services that you offer and the vehicles you have and your drivers and all that, but have your drivers doing the same thing. Have them post, have them sharing your posts so it gets out even more. So that's strategy number 11. Make your drivers part of your sales and marketing team. And here's our 12th strategy, and that's to get and give feedback. So when I say get and give feedback, that's early, often, and ongoing. Make sure you're getting and giving feedbacks to your drivers, your new drivers, giving them feedback right away on how they're doing. Get feedback from them. How's the job going? You're 1 week in, how's things going? You're 2 days in, how's it going? You want to know right away if something's a red flag so that you're not getting down the road and all of a sudden someone just doesn't show up for work and they quit and all of a sudden you lost a driver that out of the blue. You can fix things early and earlier if you get good feedback early. Also, get feedback from the managers. Anyone who's overseeing these drivers, get feedback from them on how the person is doing, and especially your customers. So if you have a brand new driver, you should be getting feedback from your customers. Hey, Bob was your driver today. He's new with the company. How did he do? How did he do? How did he treat you? Just get on the phone with them or send them a text or send them a survey, email survey or something like that. Getting that feedback is going to help you because you can also lose customers. They're not going to tell you. They're just going to go away because they didn't like the driver. They didn't like whatever. So make sure you're talking to your customers, talking to your drivers early, often, and make this an ongoing thing. So your driver or your customers are hearing from you on a regular basis. That's also part of your marketing that you're saying, hey, I care. We care about you. We want to make sure you stay a customer. So that's strategy number 12. Get and give feedback early, often, and ongoing from everybody. So bottom line, keeping your good drivers. So a lot of this stuff was talked about by keeping your drivers. You keep your drivers, that's going to lead to keeping your good customers. It's going to give a much better experience to your customers long term if they have consistency in your drivers. So hopefully this was helpful. And this was obviously, we're not at booth 208 anymore, but if you have any questions, reach out, connect with me on LinkedIn. There's my phone number, or go to our website at driverge.com. That's driver with letters GE at the end.com. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.